not have a meaningful life without responsibility. I dare to say that you need responsibility to live a meaningful life.
In relation to what?
I'm going to tell you right now. So you cannot have a meaningful life without responsibility. You need responsibility for a meaningful life. Now, if you take two people, I tell the one person, or I tell both of them, you need to get to the top of this mountain, that let's say you can get up to the mountain in, let's say, an hour, right? Let's just say that is the normal time. When you walk up with your two little feet up to the mountain, average person, it will take them plus minus an hour to 2 hours. But the objective is to take a rock to the top of the mountain. I don't give you a size. I just tell you, challenge yourself and take a rock to the top of the mountain. You have until 4 o'clock to do that. So challenge yourself and take a rock up to the mountain. One guy goes, he picks up a small little pebble, he puts it in his pocket and he runs to the top. Another guy picks up the biggest possible rock he can carry, okay, and he stumbles forth until 4 o'clock. The one guy picks up the pebble. He's within an hour, he's at the top. Yay, hurrah, he's at the top. Another guy that picks up the big rock sweats and struggles for the whole day, and just before 4 o'clock, out of breath, he like puts that big stone down on the top of the mountain. The amount of dopamine that gets released, serotonin, some of your what we call your incentive reward system.
Feel-good hormones.
Feel-good hormones, those times, those moments that you know of when you felt real meaning and real fulfillment. We've all experienced that before. It's not your consummatory reward, which is, I am hungry, I am motivated, I do whatever I need to do to eat. Ooh, I am full, I am not as motivated anymore. That is what we call consummatory reward system. Your incentive reward system in the brain works. I am working towards something valuable. I see that I'm making progress because I've picked up a burden, a responsibility. I get to the top, and in direct proportion to the amount of responsibility that I picked up is the amount of dopamine and feel-good hormones and experience. The intensity that I will experience is directly proportionate to the amount of responsibility that I picked up. And why do I say pick up? Because responsibility is quote unquote a burden. It's a burden. That's why I want to run through a wall if these people constantly rights, because your rights is my responsibility and my rights is your responsibility. Yeah, Franco, I don't trust people with these stuff. You don't trust people? Okay. When you drove here this morning, did you drive over a green robot? Yes. Did somebody stop at the red robot? Yes. So you are telling me you trusted that person with your life to stop at the red robot, and him or her giving you the right to drive? Yes. Interesting. A responsibility is a burden that you pick up, and whatever burden you pick up, there's a responsibility and there's rights, and rights is responsibility. You guys are currently, there's a burden on you now not to talk now while I'm talking, and when you talk, there's a burden on me to give you the right to talk, and I don't talk. So responsibility is inevitable. You're going to pick up responsibility whether you like it or not. The most beautiful thing about this is you get to choose the amount of responsibility, the size of the burden, or the stone that you want to pick up. The amount, and I can guarantee you, in direct proportion to the amount of responsibility that you pick up, is the direct proportionate amount of meaning or happiness that you will experience in your life. And very often in life, we are here. You might be sitting here right now, and you might be saying, Franco, this is awesome. I love this. I'm going to make myself more valuable. I'm going to do everything. I love what you just said. I mean, I now know these things. I know that life condition. I know that everything is psychological. Like 80% is psychological, 20% is skill. If my psychology is right, I know that I can identify the life conditions. I know that I need to identify the one that is not matching the expectation. I know that it's just a feeling and that it is temporary. It's not a permanent thing. I now know what I want, and I now know what I do not want. I now know how to get there, because I understand that learning is the creation between a relationship between the known and the unknown, and that I can learn any strategy if I understand the concept of learning. I now also know that I need a strategy to organize my resources that I have in me in a very specific way to get consistent results. And I now do also understand that I need to become the person that is or that will be in this heaven. And I now understand, Franco, that this heaven needs to be something of value, and I do understand that I need to pick up the amount of burden to get myself to that heaven that gives me a certain amount of value. But Franco, where I am right now, things are not going as well at home. I'm sitting here right now with a beautiful face, and I smile, and I love this content. But you have no idea what you're going through, what I'm going through right now. You have no idea what's happening at home. You have no idea what challenges my child is going through with their health, or my spouse, or even myself. You have no idea what financial struggles I'm currently sitting in here right now at this present moment. You, Franco, I might have scraped a few money together to do this course, my brother, but you have no idea. And Franco, this is wow, this is amazing, this is awesome. But currently here, where I am sitting in this present moment, I am not maybe in a really good or great place. And that is fine. Because we are human beings, because we are limited, because we are bounded, because we are mortal human beings, and we are so fragile and sensitive when somebody just says something, and we are so offensive. And because we have something called emotions, and we are so emotional, and because we know all of these things, one of the biggest truths that I believe in life is that life is essentially suffering. Life is essentially suffering. Buddha said, life is suffering. Jesus Christ said, pick up your cross and carry it. He never said put it down. He said pick up your cross. It means I'm going to pick up my burden and I have to walk with it. Pick up your cross that you voluntarily decide how big of a cross or burden or responsibility you're going to pick up. Buddha said life is suffering. Life is essentially suffering, and I do not mean like suffering like I'm going through life and life is bad and this is so. I mean like since the day you were born, you were faced with challenges. You had to put your shoulders back. You had to walk straight with your shoulders back, and you had to face challenges, health challenges, environmental challenges, whatever the case might be. And do you know what? You have 100% success rate because you are still sitting in front of me. Lindiwe, do you know the chances of you being born? If you have to run a race against 8 billion people, the current population in this world, what's the odds that you will win the race? Okay, Franco, not really good. Okay. Lindiwe, what is the odds of you winning a race against 400 trillion people. Not good. Now the odds of you being born is 400 trillion to 1. You were born a winner. You were born a winner. One of the biggest truths that I believe in is that life is essentially suffering, but I do not believe that to be the most fundamental truth. The most fundamental truth that I believe in, besides the fact that life is suffering, is that we as human beings can transcend that suffering. And we can't explain that, we don't know why, we just don't know that the human animal, the human species, a human being is the most persistent creature, animal species, being out there that we know of. That is what makes us who we are. We can transcend that suffering. And Franco, great, how do I transcend that suffering? By pursuing things of value. Franco, how do I transcend that suffering? By pursuing things of value, that little heaven. Who is that person you can be? Who is that person you can be if you start taking care of yourself like you're somebody that you care for? Like I said earlier. So how do I transcend that suffering, Ruth? By pursuing things of value. Because, let me just give you a sec to write that down. You can transcend that suffering by pursuing things of value. What do I want to say? Because if, and this also blew my mind, if there is no value proposition at hand, if there is no value proposition at hand, if you have not defined your heaven, your value proposition that is valuable to you on a core level, if there is no value proposition at hand, there is no meaning to justify the difficult conditions of your life. If there is no meaning to justify, if there is no value proposition, there is no meaning to justify the difficult conditions of your life. And that, my friends, can be brutally difficult for people. Nietzsche said, he who has a why or a reason can bear almost any how. He can bear almost, or she can bear almost any strategy. But who do you need to become? You see that time in your life, ending off with this so that we can take a break. That time in your life, Sitrelo, when you wanted to achieve something, when you worked hard to get that specific promotion, when you guys worked hard to get into that shape that you want to get in, when you looked at yourself and say, I want to get into better shape, and you actually did. Every single time when you worked hard to do those specific things, every single time when you woke up that morning, like put on your tackies, like I don't want to go and run right now, it's still early, when you had to eat that healthy food, and when you worked late to get that promotion or whatever the case might be, every single time you did that specific action to get you to where you wanted to go, and you actually got there, every single time you did that specific activity to get you to that place, you threw a vote and casted a vote for yourself in your box of your identity to say to yourself, this is the person I am. Because every single day, your actions and behaviors are living and are trying to show the world and trying to live in congruence with who you say you are. And every single time you did that specific action and behavior, you casted a vote for yourself to say, this is the person I am. And every single time you set out a goal for yourself and you did not do that and you procrastinated on the goal and you did not do that and every single time when you did not do that specific action to get to that specific goal, you also casted a vote for yourself to say, this is also the person I am. And at the end of the day, we're going to open up your box of your identity and we're going to see how many votes there are casted for you and how many votes there are casted against you that you have casted. I want to ask you, who the are you becoming? Who do you need to become to live in accordance with that goal that is a value proposition that has value to you? Because once you start going onto this journey and doing the actions and the behaviors that person will do, that will reach that. And every single day that you start tracking towards that specific thing, and your brain with external stimulus can see that you are moving towards your valued goal because you have defined it. That heaven that you have in your life, Ernest, that thing of value that you are moving towards, what type of person would have that or would achieve that specific value? So what type of Ernest do you need to become to have that heaven in your life? What would that Ernest do? So if that is getting into better shape, earning financially more money by doing this and this and this, and I'm doing this because I know that money will go for this, which is something really deep and meaningful to me, what type of things does that Ernest do to get to that heaven? So if I'm saying that my heaven is to achieve this and that and that and that, I am saying that Franco is someone that will say no to unhealthy food in excessive amounts. That Franco is the Franco that will not gym less than 3 to 4 times a week. That Franco is the Franco that will wake up in the mornings and go for the jog. That Franco is the Franco that will do every single day what is needed of him to get him to his goal. That is the Franco that will access and review his goals once a month to understand and to know where he's going. That Franco is the Franco that will wake up every single morning at that time to do this and this and this. That Franco is the Franco that will meditate every single day. That Franco is a Franco that will pray and do whatever he needs to do with regards to certain things. That Franco is the Franco that will earn people with respect, kindness, and honesty. That Franco is a... Does that make sense? So every single time you are moving towards that thing and you get from external stimulus into your senses that you are making progress towards that specific thing because there is value attached to it, the mind will start releasing dopamine, serotonin, certain specific chemicals that will give you a certain feeling that will start making your day-to-day activities packed with meaning. Every single time you take that action, the external stimulus is telling your mind, I'm moving towards a valued goal. What happens? It starts to incentivize you with an incentive reward system, and everything you start doing becomes packed with meaning. It's not just a monotonous task. I know I might not like doing the sales calls every single day, but I know this is relating to my goal that I want to have this company, and I know that I need to speak to people, and I'm going to need to do sales for myself as well. And when I sit in my job right now doing sales, I know it's not just making my boss more money. It is actually teaching me the skills that I need to run my own company, selling the thing or whatever, doing the thing that I want to do. So I know this is not just me going into work, this is me learning every single day, and this is me learning a skill for me 5 years from now to start that company. Now I'm not just going in to please my boss, I'm going in to make myself better, to put more effort into myself, becoming more, because I know what I do, there's value to what I'm going to do today. And once that starts to happen in your life, once you start linking your day-to-day activities with which you might like or not like, but which you can relate to the higher goal, everything in your life will start working. You will start working with a purpose and a reason. So, to wrap up the session, and going far longer than I should have, not even touching the content, I want to ask you, who are you becoming? Who are you becoming? Who are you becoming? Who are you becoming in relation to what you want to achieve in your life? And that thing is obviously packed with value. I do not expect of you to know exactly what this North Star is. How the hell are you in any way supposed to know at 20 what you're supposed to do? We're not. Very often we don't know what we need to do. Very often, some of us even sitting here, we don't know what we're going to do with our lives. But at least you have a place. At least you have a place where you can go with the resources and the knowledge that you have. Well, how will my life look like if I could have the perfect day? If I treated myself once again like somebody that I love and care for, how will my life look like? Like, how will I? Doesn't necessarily have to be exactly what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and all those things. If you can, that would be awesome. But it's like you think like your North Star. What happens is you shoot there and then you miss. So let's say your North Star is there. So you first shoot, you think you want that, and then you want that, and then what that happens, and then that happens, and then that happens, and then that happens. And what happens, as you start to take action, you start to get more in line with what you actually want. And somewhere along the line you decide, well, maybe I don't want that anymore, so you define as you go forward, but you at least there's a light, there's something that I at least want something, that type of thing, I want that. And I also know a place that I want to stay the hell away from. Guys, that is the break. That is that for the first session. Wow.